I still remember that night as if it happened yesterday. I had been driving back from a late business meeting in another city, a good 5-hour ride from home. The highway was quiet, not many cars around, only the occasional truck roaring past. The sky was clear, but the road stretched into what felt like endless blackness. I had been on the road for about 2 hours when I noticed a car behind me. It was a dark sedan, maybe an old model, I could not tell exactly. At first I thought nothing of it. Highways at night can be lonely, so it felt almost comforting to know there was another driver out there. But then I realized that the car was staying right behind me, no matter if I slowed down or sped up. At first I told myself not to panic. Maybe the driver just happened to be going the same speed. Maybe he was heading to the same town as me. Still, something about the way those headlights followed me made my stomach twist. I tried changing lanes. The car followed. I slowed almost to 50 miles an hour. The car slowed too. I thought about pulling over at the next exit, but the sign showed the next rest area was still 20 miles away. I did not want to stop on the shoulder. It felt too dangerous with him right behind me. I kept driving, my palms sweating on the wheel, my eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. Then the strangest thing happened. The car suddenly turned off its headlights. Just like that. Darkness behind me. I froze. Was it still there? Was it gone? My heart pounded as I strained my eyes on the mirror. The faint outline of the car was still visible under the moonlight. He was tailing me without lights. That was when fear turned into terror. I pressed my foot down harder, trying to put distance between us. The car kept up, staying close, invisible to anyone else who might pass by. I reached for my phone to call 911, but then I remembered there was no signal out here. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere with a stranger who clearly wanted to play a game with me. Finally, a gas station sign appeared up ahead. Relief flooded me. I took the exit and pulled in quickly, parking near the front entrance under the bright lights. I thought the driver would keep going, but no. He followed me off the exit, pulling to the far corner of the lot. He did not get out, just sat there with his engine running. I rushed inside and told the clerk what had been happening. He was an older man, calm, and he nodded like this was not the first time he had heard something like this. He picked up the phone and called the local sheriff. Meanwhile, I peeked outside. The car was still there. About 15 minutes later, the flashing lights of a police cruiser appeared. The dark sedan started its engine and sped off before the officer could block him. They chased him down the highway, but I never found out if they caught him. To this day, I wonder what would have happened if I had not found that gas station in time. Now it's time to start our second story. It was summer, and I was on a road trip with my best friend Daniel. We were headed to a beach town a few states away, trying to make the drive in one night to save money on a hotel. Around midnight, we came across a man on the side of the road, standing by a broken-down pickup truck. He waved at us for help. I hesitated, but Daniel insisted we stop. "Come on, it's the decent thing to do," he said. So I pulled over. The man looked to be in his 30s, wearing a dirty flannel shirt and jeans. His truck hood was open, and he claimed his battery was dead. We offered to give him a ride to the nearest town so he could get help. He climbed into the back seat and thanked us. At first, he seemed polite, making small talk. But as the minutes passed, I noticed how he kept staring at Daniel, barely blinking. His questions grew personal. Where we were from, where we lived, whether our families were expecting us. Something about his tone made my skin crawl. Then Daniel whispered to me when the man looked away. "He does not smell like he has been stuck outside. He smells like gasoline." That was when we both noticed it. The faint stench of fuel clung to his clothes. I asked him where exactly he wanted us to drop him off. He said, "Just keep driving. I will tell you when." His voice was flat, commanding. I felt a chill run down my spine. I made a quick decision. I told Daniel to check something in the glove compartment, hoping the stranger would not notice as Daniel quietly dialed 911 on his phone. Of course, there was no service. The man suddenly leaned forward, resting his arms on the front seats. You boys sure are kind. Not everyone would pick up a stranger at night. His smile was wrong. It did not reach his eyes. I knew he had to get rid of him. Up ahead, I saw the lights of a diner. Without warning, I pulled into the parking lot and parked directly in front of the entrance. We are grabbing food, I said. You should come with us. He stared at us for a moment, then shook his head. No, I will wait here. Daniel and I exchanged a glance. We got out quickly and walked into the diner. I explained the situation to the staff, and one of them called the police. But when the officers arrived 15 minutes later, our car was still there. But the man was gone. Later, the police told us there had been reports of robberies and even assaults in the area by someone matching his description. They said we had been lucky to get away unharmed. Now it's time to start our third story. I was working as a delivery driver a few years ago, moving packages across states. One night around 1 a.m., I was driving through a long desert stretch. The road was so empty it almost felt abandoned. Out of nowhere, I spotted 3 large trucks ahead of me, driving in a straight line. Their taillights glowed red in the darkness, almost hypnotic. At first, I felt safer seeing them. Being surrounded by other vehicles on a deserted highway usually meant less risk. So I kept my distance and followed. But soon, I noticed something strange. No matter how much I pressed the accelerator, I could not seem to get closer. The trucks kept the exact same distance ahead of me. Half an hour passed. Still the same distance. I checked my speedometer. It showed I was pushing 75 miles an hour. Those trucks must have been going even faster, yet they stayed perfectly aligned, never slowing, never pulling away completely. Finally, I decided to push harder. My van roared, reaching 85. My headlights grew closer to them. Or so I thought. But suddenly, without warning, the taillights disappeared. Just like that. No curve in the road, no exit nearby. Nothing but a straight, empty stretch. I slammed the brakes, confused. How could 3 massive trucks vanish into thin air on a straight highway? I pulled over, my hands shaking, and checked my map. According to it, there had been no exits for miles. I stepped out, the desert night eerily silent, and walked a little down the road. There were no tire marks, no signs of trucks turning off, just my own skid marks. I got back in the van, locking the doors. I forced myself to keep driving, trying to convince myself it had been my imagination. But deep down, I knew it had not. 2 days later, I stopped at a small roadside diner on the same highway. I casually mentioned what I saw to the waitress. Her smile faded. She leaned closer and whispered, "You are not the first to see that convoy. Some say they are smugglers who force cars to pull over. Others say they are long gone, but their trucks still drive the road." I never took that route at night again. Now it's time to start our 4th story. I had been on a solo drive from one state to another, trying to cover nearly 10 hours in one stretch. By midnight, exhaustion hit me hard, so I pulled into a rest stop. The parking lot was dimly lit, a few cars scattered around, most with people probably sleeping inside. I parked near the restroom building, locked my doors, and leaned my seat back for a quick nap. Maybe 15 minutes later, I woke up to a soft tapping sound on my window. At first, I thought I had dreamed it, but then I saw a shadow outside my car. A man stood there, his face hidden under a hood, just watching me. I jumped, fumbling to start the engine. But then he lifted a finger and pointed toward the restroom. I could not hear him, but his lips moved as if saying, "Come here." Every instinct in my body screamed to stay put. I shook my head. He did not move. He just kept standing there, pointing, waiting. I laid on the horn. The loud blare echoed through the quiet rest stop. Lights flicked on in a couple of other cars. The man finally backed away, slowly melting into the shadows near the restroom building. I thought about driving off right then, but my bladder was screaming. Against my better judgment, I decided to use the restroom quickly, hoping he had gone. Inside, the place was silent, only one flickering light above the sinks. I checked the stalls, empty. I hurried, trying to finish fast. That was when I noticed it. On the mirror, smeared in what looked like dirt, were the words, "Next time, do not honk." I ran out of there and jumped back in my car, peeling out of the lot so fast my tires screeched. Later, I found out several incidents had been reported at that exact rest stop. People claimed they were followed, sometimes attacked, usually by someone who lured them out of their cars first. I had almost become another one of those stories. Now it's time to start our fifth and final story. It was supposed to be a simple drive. 3 of us, me, my brother, and a friend, were headed back home after a camping trip. We were tired, dirty, and eager for a hot meal. Around 11 p.m., we relied on GPS to guide us back. That was our first mistake. The GPS directed us off the main highway and onto a narrow country road. At first it seemed fine, just quiet farmland on either side, but soon the pavement gave way to gravel, then to dirt. Trees closed in around us, and the headlights barely cut through the darkness. "Are you sure this is the way?" my brother asked. "That is what the GPS says," I replied, though doubt had started to creep in. Then we saw the sign. It was hand-painted, leaning to one side with the words, "Private property. No trespassing." I slowed down, debating whether to turn back. That was when another pair of headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. A pickup truck had pulled onto the road behind us. Relieved, I thought maybe we could ask them for directions. But as I drove slower, the truck kept its distance, not trying to pass. When I sped up, so did they. Finally, I pulled over to let them by. Instead of passing, the truck stopped right behind us. Its high beams lit up our car, blinding us. "Drive," my brother whispered. I pressed the gas, trying to lose them, but the road twisted and turned, leading us deeper into the woods. The truck stayed close, sometimes swerving dangerously near our bumper. Up ahead, the dirt road split into 2. I chose the left without thinking. Big mistake. It ended at an old barn, abandoned and falling apart. Dead end. The truck stopped at the mouth of the road, blocking the way out. Its engine idled, headlights glaring. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then the driver's door opened. A tall figure stepped out, holding something in his hand. Maybe a bat, maybe a pipe. I could not tell. Panic surged through me. I slammed the car into reverse, backing up at full speed, the tires kicking up dirt. I veered around the truck just as the man raised his arm to strike. My mirror caught a glimpse of his face, blank, almost expressionless. We did not stop driving until we reached the highway again. Later, we checked the map. That road was not even on it. No record, no name. Just a patch of land people avoided. Locals told us later that strangers often reported being chased if they wandered there. Some cars were even found abandoned. We never used GPS shortcuts again. And that brings us to the end of our 5 terrifying road trip horror stories. Each one reminds us that the road is not always as safe as it seems. Sometimes the real danger is not the night, the silence, or even the isolation, but the people you might encounter out there. So the next time you set off on a long drive, remember these stories. Stay alert, trust your instincts, and above all, never take safety for granted.